sache fanteri, juramenti tamukari. That means he's swearing eternal love, not in front of the cross, but in front of the long braid of her hair. He swears eternal love. You normally swear in front of a, you swear in the sense of dedicating, or by swear, I don't mean a swear word, but swear loyalty in front of a deity, or in front of elder in the family or something. So here is this Mando, which my daughter actually, we sang at my daughter's wedding, because she did have a long plait, that I swear eternal love in the presence of this braid of your hair.
Mando mainly, imitates the troubadour. Troubadours, were those composers, poets of Middle Ages in Europe, which composed poems and songs, of courtly love. We have, mandas of yearning, where, you yearn for the love of your loved one. Then sometimes there is the jilted love affair. So there are mandas, of lamentation. And ultimately mandas about social events, about political events, which are known as mandas of Khobro.
The Mando was born of a marriage between Western harmony and traditional music. And because traditional Indian music does not have harmony, the harmony of voices. The whole idea is harmony, the synchronization of various sounds. So the Mando is a creation of that harmonic effect.
Now mando came, in those times because, Goa was going through troubled times. There was a feudal society where there was elite, and these people who belonged to the elite, especially the Brahmins and the Shardons, they wanted to live in a world of their own. It was like a fanciful world that would bring them, sort of consolation. So composers started composing and dancers started dancing. The mando was sung for weddings. And the weddings, were held in the houses in those times. So, whenever there was a wedding, people used to come and sit in the ballroom. And the bride had to sing, and people used to surround the bride, and everyone used to look at her. From this regular arrangement of people around the bride, the word manda word came, and it's supposed to be from there that mando word mando originated.
So that word Mando, it comes from the word Mand. Okay, Mand is the village square, the sacred village square, where it was like a stage in the village. It was the ground, okay, we smeared with cow dung. That's where all the shigmo and the performances took place. So it has come from there. It's not, I do not believe it's Mandawal and all. It has come from the word Mand, which is the village cultural space.
Mando mainly is a dance song. It was made for dancing.
It is the dance of seduction. The man goes round and round the woman trying to seduce her with his eyes and with his handkerchief and, just courtship. From afar, they never touch. They never touch. The Mando dancers never touch. And the woman plays coy with her fan. traditional clothes. The men wore dinner jackets or tailcoats. In the old days, it was tailcoats.
The women have a peculiar dress. The women have the gold brocaded kimono type of dress. I personally feel it is the influence of Macau because Macau was a Portuguese colony, and that influence in the dress must have come from there.
मांड्यांक पयलीं एक निवेदन आसता जें संत हातून सांगतात आनी ताचे नंतर जें दुलपद आसता तें अशेंच कपलेट आसता जी पयलीं कथानकाक आनी ताका संबंद नासता आनी तें स्पीड आसता ताका म्हण तें द्रुतपद तें दुलपद. दुलपदाची जी पळय मध्यवर्ती कल्पना आसात ह्यो चड करून विनोदी पद्दतीचे आसात चड गंभीर अशें न्ही कित्याक सगळे वयर जर सगळे गंभीर दुख्खद अशें सगळें जर आयलें काय ना ताजे नंतर थोडोसो मूड चेंज करपा खातीर तर तातूंत तो हें वापरतात अशें म्हाका दिसता.
The Dulpod is real folk. It has all the mischief. It can be very ribald. It can be very risque. It can be very insulting. They don't care. That's a no-holds-barred kind of language. And the accompaniment for the Dulpod is the gumat, the traditional gumat.
आमची जी मूळ जी वाद्यसंगीत आमचें आशिल्लें हें लोकसंगीत आनी लोकसंगिता मध्ये लोकवाद्यां ही तातूंत येतालीं तातूंतलें आमचें आदीम अशे पद्दतीची जी वाद्यां आसात तातूंत मदलें घुमट हें सगळ्यांच्या व्हडलें म्हणजे सगळ्यांच्या म्हत्वाचें शिगम्याक वाजता फुगड्यांच्या वेळाचेर वाजयतात मागीर काही जाग्याचेर वेगवेगळे जे जागर जाता त्या जागरांक हें आसात घुमट हें आसात. आमचो ज्या वेळाचेर हांगा पुर्तुगेजाक लागून लोक पळून गेले त्या वेळाचेर कर्नाटकांत गेले केरळांत गेले ज्या ज्या जाग्याचेर ते गेले थंय थंय आतां घुमट मेळटा आजय बी ते घुमट आज थंय वाजयतात आनी ते नाचतात आनी कोंकणी गितां म्हणटात.
We are in the place which is now called Old Goa, and then it was called Ella. On 25th November 1510, Afonso de Albuquerque captured this island of Tiswadi. In fact, that is the entry point from where Afonso de Albuquerque and his crew, the ships were anchored here. Okay, there was a masjid here now, which is now the Saint Catherine Chapel. So those steps are still there, laterite stone, and there's a fort there. And so they entered through that. If you see the British colonialism and Portuguese colonialism, there is a vast difference. The British did not come here for religious purposes. The Portuguese, one of the motives which lured the Portuguese was definitely religion. They wanted to introduce Roman Catholicism in the East. They felt that the subject should follow the religion of the king and the subject should look just like the Portuguese.
All these edicts stopped you from basic things like eating pan and supari and bathing, having your bride, bathed in oil, or the kumkum, all these cultural aspects of what they thought was religion were banned, and it was replaced. All Indian instruments were banned. You got the violin, you got the guitar, you got the harmonium, all these instruments, but the traditional instruments were banned.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
आमच्या हातून पोर्तुगीज आल्यानंतर जी वाद्यसंगीतामध्ये एक वाद्य आलं आहे ते व्हायलिन. आमच्या भारतीय शास्त्रीय संगीतामध्ये हे व्हायलिन आयलं जाल्यार जवळ 150 वर्सां जालीं. पूण आमच्या गोंयच्या ह्या संगीतामध्ये जर आयलें जायत न्ही जाल्यार जवळ 400 वर्सां परस चड जालीं. म्हणजे तशें पळोवपाक गोंयांत ही संगीताची तशी परंपरा व्हडली आसा.
I have a sentence in my book which says that the Goans were converted through music. Not in the sense of classical Western music so much as I think it was originally only religious music, It came through the church. Parish schools taught them counting, the alphabet, which means religion, and music. That's why they're such good musicians. They use that tradition to influence the film music. You must have read Naresh Finance's book that Bollywood music was born in Goa. Conversion, one thing, the Kala Pani fear was gone. They all migrated. From the 19th century, they migrated to Maharashtra, to Bombay. As musicians, they migrated to the courts of all the Maharajas. And then they migrated to British Africa, they migrated to Portuguese Africa. Adolfine Rebelo, the composer, wants to marry Adelina, who is wearing her bridal dress on a dull and rainy day. Adolfino languishes outside the window, kneeling in the mud and begging her not to marry. He accompanies the bridal procession. Then he lies down on the elevated platform outside the Margaon church, stretches out his arms and sings while his beloved gives herself to another. He dies of excessive drinking. Mando was always composed for a wedding and sung for a wedding. But the people who composed it were usually the people who broke their hearts, never got the girl. They all died in a very tragic way. They committed suicide or they drank themselves to death. I do not know of anybody who, triumphed or had a reasonably comfortable life. Sometimes I think they were really romantic madmen, so passionate about music, and they died for it. They never made money. They were never successful, but their music survives. It was also conceived and composed largely from the south. Kurtori, Benauli, Lotuli, were the villages that produced most of these composers.
There are now almost 100 composers, maybe more, and a lot of their work might have been lost also. The work of those who could be saved has been saved. But certainly the three greats of Mando are, Arnaldo Menezes, Giselino Ribeiro, and Torquato de Figueiredo. These three great composers, which composed the greatest Mandos, and earned, fame and name, and all the governors, everyone used to be crazy. So whenever they were there, the occasion was always ended up being very sensational.
I'm Eduardo Barnett, and this is my wife, Philomena Mascarenhas. My father actually was brought up in this house, raised in this house as the son of this house. And Arnal Muniz was his godfather. From what I have heard from other people also, they used to speak of him that he was a genius. If he saw some incident going on, a fight or quarrel, immediately he used to just hum up the tune. And since he was also a solfeist, he used to immediately compose and write the music for that. A Portuguese governor had come for a meeting in Margao, and he was actually brought up on the stage as soon to sing, and he composed a song, perhaps a little bit, this thing, what we can say, like a farce, which actually was sung in Konkani, and actually it used to actually little bit insulting to them and Portuguese. Perhaps the governor was explained what actually he had meant to this thing. Then the governor was gracious enough to call him back on the stage to sing the same Mando back again. And he was congratulated just before his death. That's what my father was actually told. He used to take him because he was bedridden. So he used to take my father in his arms, on his chest, and he used to say, it seems, I should at least, God should allow me to live until he is able to teach music to my father. In fact, that cross which was there, it was actually a monument, but it was built after his death to put his bones. After the completion of the cross, the church refused to give them permission. They said, since no Christian person's bone can be put on the road. That's how actually his bones and everything was put in a violin case and kept below the altar. So they remain in the house only. Now only since there is a new search for old talents, this thing, whatever exists, our inheritance, our ancestors, this thing, now we are taking interest. Now I am myself keen to find out things.
Because of the Mandovi River, the Portuguese came here because of the trade. So all, if you say Bahamanis, Vijayanagar, all the Kadamba, trade flourished because of the river. So rivers have played a very important role. It's a lifeline of Goa, Zuari as well as Mandovi, and there are other rivers. So, and you find that most of these folk songs, folk lore, and they are associated with the river.
दिता पायांतली पायजणां दिता हाताची कांकणां दिता पायांतली पायजणां दिता
तुझी वाटूक गादात वयता तुझी वाटूक गादात वयता. देखणी हें जें गीत आसा तें देखणी गीत हें कोणी तरी बरयिल्लीं गितां वेगवेगळी देखणीची गितां आसात पूण तातूंत सगळ्यांच्याक जी फामाद जी हें आसा चड प्रसिद्ध अशी ती हांव सायबा पलतडी वतां ती अजून कितलींशीं वर्सां जालीं पलतडी पावत नात म्हणटात पूण पलतडी पावनात.
It is supposed to be the request of a dancer, maybe a Devdasi, who has to go to dance at a wedding, and she wants to cross, and so she requests that she should be allowed to cross, and she entices him with her anklets and then her nose ring and the flowers in her hair. And apparently there was a paragraph somewhere which has been deleted which says that she entices him with herself.
पहिली पद्दत कशी आशिल्ली की कलवत जी आशिल्ली आमचे कडेन देवदासी सिस्टम आशिल्ली आज देवदासी सिस्टम ना आनी ती देवदासी सिस्टम खूब पयलीं साकून सुरू जाली पूण ताजो मागीर 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 तो वायट हें सगळें जावपाक लागलें इट रिफ्लेक्टेड एज अ प्रॉस्टिट्यूशन म्हणटकीर ताका लागून ती कलवत जी आशिल्ली ही कलवतां तांकां ती दिसपाक सुंदर नाचपी गावपी अशें आशिल्लें आनी तांणी देवळांक सेवा करप सगळी पूण तांकां खंय हाजे खातीर आपयताले नाचपा खातीर खंयच्या जाग्यार वेडिंग्स बी आसतालीं थंय आपयताले आनी थंय ती वतालीं वतात आनी थंय वचून तांणी तें हें करप आनी तांकां कितें जें पळय मोबदलो मेळटा ताजेर तांणी घेवन ते दे हॅव टू लीव देर लायफ. आतां जालें कितें की तें हें केल्ल्यान ती एकच ती थीम आशिल्ली ती लोकांक घे सायबा ती लोकांक इतली फामाद जायनाशिल्ली पूण राज कपुरान बॉबींक तें वापरलें आमची ही थीम म्हणजे हे ट्यून आनी ती सगळी हाजेर पावली. फारार फार जाताय रानाव तूं फारार फार जाताय रानाव तूं राणे मारता पाकले मारता राण्याकू. हें गीत आसा हें गीत सादारण असो थोडोसो ऐतिहासीक पार्श्वभुमी दिता इतिहासीक रेफरन्स दिता इतिहासाचेर हे इतिहासाचे संदर्भ काही गितांनी येतात.
The Ranis were warriors, and they used to certainly incur the wrath of the Portuguese, and the Portuguese used to go and shoot at them and whatever else, and they really were rebels. There were all these dulpods that were composed to praise them because of their bravery, that they had the gumption to ride on their horses and shoot at these Portuguese soldiers. It was a very famous occasion when there was this election. It was a municipal election, and there were two sides to it. There was the side supported by the government, and there was a side supported by the local. I mean, they were both Goan people standing, but one had official support.
The local Goan candidate and the Goans realized that there was rigging going on. So they protested against it. And they wanted to enter inside. So when they entered there, it was barricaded. And the Portuguese officer ordered firing from inside. And in that building, 23 Goans were killed on that day.
But if you research the period of that time, there's nothing on it. Nothing. Nobody, no historian, nobody else has written about it. And so I asked some of the journalists and all, why is there no comment on this? Is it that 23 deaths were invented? No. Some say maybe it happened, maybe it didn't happen. There is a bullet mark in one of the houses where this shooting took place. And everyone knows it happens, but the fact is that it is not recorded. What exists is the Mandos. What exists is the Mandos. this is all late 19th century. This political awareness of the Goan, the awareness of his own identity, his own freedom, his own rights came really in the 19th century, very strong.
Kazarak lokat tuwen covid dalloy Altara mugar tuwen maka alloy Pun sogळ्या उजीर काजार जायना म्हूण सांगोन खिकवंत खेलोय दाजारा मोदे म्हाका लोजेन घालोय म्हज्या मायपायच्या काळजाक धोको दिलोय अशें करून सांग ग्लोरिया कसलो इनाम जोडलोय.
After liberation, there was a lull. So again the Mando was going to be forgotten. So until the Mando festivals came into being, and the first one, who rallied around this movement and got people together was one Mr. Bernard Ferdinand. He is the father of Rem Ferdinand. He was the president of the Club National. So together with them, they started having the Mando festivals. And I remember the first and second Mando festivals, they were real fantastic occasions. It is a general movement, where all the people, participate.
Mogan porta internetaचेर Google photo data Facebookaचेर Soyच्या गोरी पोटपाचेर काजरा कांदोऱ्याचेर गोरी कशी खावले सालो पानिशेर
या पोरणार शिकप करूंक जाय पूण इंटरनेट गोरीचे चेकोपाय फावो तितलो उपयोग कर वेळ पिड्यार करिनाकाय समाजांत बरें तुजें नांव दवरूंक जाय
सांडालीच्या दोंगरार मुनी पातले आपयता पोरमोरी थंय पुलीस एकू कापडी वाचयता दुर्वा आशेन गोंयची घरां पाड्याक दिता ट्युरिस्टांच्या घरांनी आमी वस्त्यार दिता.
I'm not sure whether it is right to just keep alive the Mando. I don't know whether it's the right thing to do, because it is of a particular time. There is no study of it, and in the context of Goa today, when there's so much of, Goa is evolving in so many different ways, I'm not sure how successful it is going to be as a great creative force. You can't just make it a kind of folk dance to attract tourists.
Actually, it is the uniqueness of that musical form. तातूंत कितें आसा तातूंत मेलडी इंडियन दवरल्या आनी ट्यून जो आसा तो तातूंत फॉरेन दवरला दोनीचें एक बरें ब्लेंड त्या हातूंत पळोवपाक मेळटा आनी तशें सहजासहजी खंय मेळना म्हण ती स्पेशलिटी आनी ती स्पेशलिटी आनी ताजी इवोल्युशन आनी वेगळे पद्दतीन जावपाक शकना एक एक वाड्याची एक एरियेची ती एक स्पेशलिटी आसता त्या एरियेकच तें चलत रावपाक एक जनरेशना कडच्यान दुसऱ्या जनरेशना कडेन दुसऱ्या जनरेशन तिसऱ्या जनरेशना कडेन अशें करचें पडटा.
Some people predict, that one day it will die. But it is alive and kicking.
See, both my grandfathers, they moved to Bombay in search of jobs. They moved from Portuguese Goa to British India because in those days job opportunities were very few in Goa. I was born and brought up in India. But wherever Goans went, they took their music with them. Even in whichever countries they settled in, they still followed the same traditions, and in fact we do it even now. My son got married 4 years back in the United States, and he married an American girl. And we wanted the girl's family and all their friends, their college friends and all, we wanted all of them to get a taste of what our music was like. So we had a Mando singing session even there for their reception. We couldn't resist. Mando Mango is something that fascinates me. Now in my blog, so I have one category on just the Goan Mandos. I research this topic a lot, and I feel that there's a lot of like ignorance about the background of the Mando and how it develops. And I try to dig out some interesting nuggets of information and spread that information through the blogs.
I born in Mozambique, in Lorenzo Marques, the capital, and I grew up there. I studied there. I worked there. I met my future wife in Portugal, in Lisbon, and we had for our wedding a Mando. It's a well-known Mando, but the poetry was dedicated to us, to her and to me, the words. I belong ECVAT group. ECVAT group, only one activity is to promote the Goan folk music, especially Portugal and abroad. At home, my mother used to sing Goan folk music, and especially mandos. It is an habit that was transferred to us, especially with me and my brother. We used to play at home things that we learn by listening my mother.
Goans, children, youngsters, for lack of opportunities to speak in Konkani, many of them can't speak Konkani well, but they can sing the songs. So at least the songs, because the lyrics are in Konkani, it sort of still keeps the Konkani language also alive in the modern generation. These melodies, once you start singing them, you can't forget them. I mean, they're so hummable. And they have very simple lyrics, which sort of touch your heart. And you can sing along very easily. You can even empathize with the emotions expressed through that song.
In Portuguese, there is a word without translation in the other languages, I think, means saudade. Saudade is a feeling especially when we are abroad, we feel about. We feel the absence of the family. We feel the absence of the friends, of the land, of the heat. Now it's very heat. Of the mangoes, everything. The mandos are describe saudade and describe the love we left in Goa of the persons of the motherland.
Nac, 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 senoria. Shiva, 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 Shiva,